Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Ali Coram and Ed Carson with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Tuesday, May 21st, where we saw the major indexes up on the day. But Ed, the market is in wait and see mode for Nvidia earnings out tomorrow.
Wait and see, but still creeping higher. I want to take a look at three stocks that weren't doing nothing today. The Eli Lilly, Microsoft, and Ares Management.
Oh, yeah, we've got some movers underneath the surface, and we'll get to a couple of those. So we'll do that. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. The NASDAQ up about 0.2% today. The S&P 500 up about 0.25%. The Dow on the day up about 0.2% as well. The Russell 2000 a little bit lower, down 0.2% as it consolidates sideways. But as you said, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and Dow creeping higher, and new highs here for the NASDAQ, Ed.
Yeah, NASDAQ hit a record high. The S&P hit a record close. So, I mean, we're waiting, but waiting at an all-time high. Pretty good place to wait. Showing pretty good action here. I mean, we're just sort of pausing. Leading stocks have been acting well. They're moving out or holding gains or just pausing as we wait the big news for Nvidia. That's just the one thing. I mean, I think the last several days, obviously last couple of weeks, there have been opportunities to buy. And I think the real question, is just that, maybe wait to see what Nvidia does tomorrow, but there could be more opportunities after that.
Exactly. That's my question to you, Ed, in terms of positioning. And that's something that we talk about a lot, depending on the market conditions. It seems like now we are in a market environment that is quite favorable, but that's not to say that there aren't going to be bumps in the road. That's always the case, right? You just have to be flexible, but work off of the data that you're presented with. Right,
Yeah,
Ed?
and that's one reason why you want to get going on adding exposure, because if you added exposure, say on May 3rd, a fair amount, then that makes it relatively easy to hold on. It's like, oh, okay, sure, stocks might fall. I mean, but you should be fine, or you'll certainly, even if there's some catastrophic and we go into a correction from somehow, you would have time to get out. So that's why you want to get in. It's actually, it may seem aggressive, but it's actually one way to be conservative rather than buying at
Yes.
the very top. And so that's how it is. Because now you can be adding on. And what's been nice, after a lockout rally for much of the several months, we had a mild correction, and then we've had several weeks where there's been like sort of steady opportunities to buy things, especially from May 3rd on. There have been stocks to buy every day. Doesn't mean you have to buy every day, but it's been easy to add exposure incrementally. So it's been really favorable conditions. You're right.
Right. And couldn't agree more with those points, Ed. And I think the great thing about this rally is that it has been broad. So there not only are there a lot of opportunities, but there are a lot of opportunities in a lot of different sectors. So we do like seeing the chips in gear, but it extends way beyond that at this point. And so tactically speaking, when we have Nvidia earnings coming out tomorrow, that's just one assessment that you need to make in your portfolio is what is your exposure like to that area of the market, right?
Yeah, and beyond chips, because now it's all sorts of things that you wouldn't even think are technology or getting involved as AI plays. But yeah, you want to think about how much exposure, heading into that, and what's your cushion on those stocks, thinking about that. But as I say, the underlying fundamentals heading into Nvidia are very strong.
Yeah. And you're right. Beyond just chips, all of the anything AI could be in focus tomorrow, but either which way. So we will have to see what happens with that. Let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield. Ed, your update on the action.
I mean, we bounced a little bit off for a few days off the 200-day line, hit resistance at the 50-day. The Fed officials spoke today, but there's generally the idea was like, we want to see more. Maybe things are getting on the right direction again with inflation. So generally favorable, but nothing really changing too much. This has definitely been a big reason why the last several weeks have been a big reason why the market has turned up again.
Right. You are spot on as always, Ed. Okay, let's take a look at some stocks on our radar. Here's Eli Lilly up about 2.7% today. Full disclosure, I do own this one. It's been a little tricky lately, but today the action to me looks pretty clear in terms of an actionable opportunity, Ed.
Yeah, it went above I think the buy point we're using mostly is 795.50, but whatever buy point you used, it cleared it.
Yeah.
So so there's sort of this very shallow double bottom base, but then a handle within it. There was some positive late stage trial data on a Crohn's disease treatment. So that is what's going on there because Eli Lilly, while obviously weight loss drugs have become a huge factor, they do have a lot of other things going on. And so this was a reminder of that. Nice action, nice
Mhm.
volume. It took a little rest, but that's after having a nice run and obviously a long
Mhm.
run before that.
Yeah, we can take a look at the weekly chart here to put that into perspective, Ed. So now we're seeing another up week here taking shape and also getting above that psychologically important round number of 800. So it seems like now that's the area where we want to see a floor of support. But this is a stock that likes to pull back and form bases. So definitely would not be out of the question to see this one pulling back to or even underneath the 10-week line, even if it were to continue to advance. So, something to keep in mind.
The good news is that it's really not that far away from the 10-week line right now. It was such a shallow base that even if it did pull back, we're not talking about that big of a move down. But you're absolutely right. And one nice thing is that this is not Nvidia tied to Nvidia. So this is like the other big theme, even though the move wasn't on weight loss drugs. But so it's a little bit more insulated from a lot of the other names that have been moving out.
Makes sense. Okay, next on our list, we want to take a look at Microsoft, which cleared a trend line entry today, backed off of its prior highs a little bit by the end of the session, but getting back in gear here, Ed, along with the rest of the software sector, which has been taking a break.
Yeah, so the software sector took a break. This one's coming back. This week they have a build conference. There's some positive comments talking about AI PCs and what they're doing there. This stock really hasn't been leading, since November and especially since early February. The relative strength line has sort of dragged slightly down. I mean, I don't want it's not like a real sharp lagging. I think it's important that this one doesn't lag too much since this is one of the big end users of AI. If Nvidia is going to sell lots and lots of chips, somebody eventually has to make money off of it. Microsoft's one of the first that's really trying to monetize it. And they're saying that they're getting growth out of it. But so you want to at least see Microsoft do relatively well, at least sort of try to keep up with the market. This one is not going to be the big leader. It seems like, it's not going to be that turbocharged, but it's definitely something you could be having
Mhm.
in your portfolio. But it also could definitely react to Nvidia positively or negatively, like so many other stocks.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe not going to surge over the short term, but over the long run, Ed, this one's been a pretty strong performer.
Yeah, this is not a bad thing to have in your portfolio over the long run, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what happens from here. So I guess even though it technically topped an entry today with that AI exposure, at this point, do you wait for the Nvidia earnings to come out before before doing anything with
Yeah,
this? In hindsight, obviously, because
well, yeah. Yeah, I
or
would think
early
so.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it would really have to be something about like it just seems like a high risk there. Yes, that's what it comes down to. I would be waiting on this, but
Mhm.
it's definitely one to be watching, and maybe it'll clear the buy point for sure if it's strong
Mhm.
results on Nvidia.
Yes. All right. Well, it wasn't all positive news or action today, but maybe there is a cup half full way to view this action because Aries intraday tumbled, but was able to recover by the close, finishing down just less than 0.7%. So, is that a successful test, Ed, or what do you make of the volatility in Aries management today?
It seems like a successful test. We'll see. I mean, it is down 4 days. If this keeps on falling, then today's intraday bounce will quickly be forgotten. They had investor day today. It wasn't clear. They gave a lot of figures and stuff. None of it sounded bad. I mean, I'm not sure what under assets under management people were expecting. And some of these things are difficult. But this is a situation where I totally understand why, if you had a position saying like, I'm gonna cut half of my position or a third of my position early on. If look intraday, it came down. This might have been something you could have held out because it was 15 minutes into this day. It was sort of light, it was coming down, but then it bounced back up. So, sort of in there. So it didn't take too long for it to sort of steady. I think you could have definitely said, say, I'm going to take a portion, taken, and get out a little bit just because it was not looking good. You had given up maybe a decent round trip gain of like say, so, I don't know, 7-8%. So that would have been understandable. But I think this is a situation. Maybe this is why you don't necessarily have to go all the way out and you wait and to see how things go. Um, so this was a nice action to see that it comes up here. It'd be great if it could consolidate here. Maybe it'd sort of like be another opportunity for people to say, I'm going to actually start or reestablish a position that they might have trimmed back today.
Hmm. Okay, Ed. Well, as we wrap, let's talk about your battle plan for tomorrow and Thursday with a big report on the horizon. What are you going to be looking for out there in terms of handling your portfolio?
Yeah, I'm trying to just sort of think about how much there, because there are some AI related things, and just like how much is there? I'm going to be, really trying to assess that. I was waiting to see if I could get big enough cushion in some of these things, and I have to decide what if I have that, and maybe I'll lighten up a little bit. I'm not so concerned about the overall exposure I have, but that's really more the AI exposure. But definitely want to be looking at what is your exit plan, like how much do you want to scale out, if it comes down here, would you be scaling out a third of position,
Mhm.
half the position? So I'm looking at that, especially on the AI related names.
Right. Yeah. So that definitely on the portfolio management side for existing holdings. And what about for those out there who maybe feel under invested in this market? What should they be looking for?
Well, I think they definitely build up those watch lists and have maybe a select target of things, and definitely make that watch list like a broader one. Look at a lot of sectors, because as you were saying early on, there's a lot of sectors that are working. So get those ready to go. Again, get the select list of things that you really want to prize, and then depending on how things go, there might be a lot of buying opportunities on Thursday morning. So and the days ahead. So you don't have to do it all at once. I wouldn't try to front run the Nvidia earnings, especially. I wouldn't go
Yeah.
from like 20% invested and say I want to be 80% invested. Tomorrow would not be that day. And I think it's just do it gradually. There's still opportunities. Don't feel like you're missing out. There's always another opportunity. There's always another. If this rally has real legs, that's going to keep on going. You'll have opportunities to build that up. Just just work on getting those steps and then take those step by step rather than jumping
Yeah.
into it.
Makes sense, Ed. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IEBD Live. And we hope you join us, investors.com/IEBD Live, for all those details. We'll see you then. And then we'll see you back here tomorrow after the close. And got to sneak in one last little promo because we have a new show launching this afternoon. Swing Trader Status Update. So if you love watching our content, whether it's live or on demand, we have a new live stream live at 5 today, 5 Eastern, that is, on YouTube. Swing Trader Status Update. And if you're watching the recording of this, don't worry, you can watch the recording of that too at investors.com/videos. A lot of great content there, including a lot of videos that you're in, Ed. So you make the round, you make some appearances. We like
Yeah,
your insights. We'll keep
we're
you.
doing so many videos. They have to come up with me to do a few more of them. Mike Webster and Justin Nielsen, they really in-depth research, so they really will go into it. And so I think that'll be looking forward to that video, that seminar today.
Yes, that'll be great. All right. Thanks, Ed, and all. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Bye now.